Welcome. This is tutorial 4, Foundations in Construction for the Phase 2 of the Cube exercise. I have already set my units. Thus my next step will be to create my 2 by 2 by 2 inch cube. I'm going to type line. When typing line, I simply select my point. I simply select my point, draw that line out 2 inches, enter, 2 inches out the other direction, and now I can type in box using my 2 endpoints to give myself a 2 inch high cube. Hide shows me my solid object. VPOINT verifies that I'm looking at the top right front. I'm going to focus on creating the cubes around the object. To create the cubes around the object, I'm going to change my UCS to this front face. I'm going to then draw a P line around this object. It's important to note that this P line should be deleted so that it does not cause problems with selecting the cube in the future. But nonetheless, we're going to offset that P line 1/4 so that we now have an element to draw a box from corner to corner, inward 1/4. Okay. Undo, inward 1/8. The next step is to use the array command, and remember the array has to be parallel to the rotation. So if we want to rotate around the top and back, then we need to be on the left or the right. If we want to rotate around the right, back, and left, we need to be at least in the world or top view. I'm going to use the world UCS. I'm going to define a diagonal line to develop my center point. And then I'm going to type array. As you see, a dialog appears. We want to make sure we're doing a polar array. We want to select objects. And we also want to make sure we have a fill of 360 with an angle of 90 between each. And then we hit preview. If you hit preview, your object should appear. What is wrong in our view? We did not pick the center point. Once we select the center point, all things rotate accordingly. We now accept this, we type hide, and we see that those objects set on that face. In order to create the objects going around the top and the bottom, we draw a line on the right side to find our center point. We need to set that, change your UCS to that right side. We type array. We pick the objects. This object will be rotated about this center point, and we hit preview. Notice that objects here, here, and here appear, except now we do have one duplicate object, and that duplicate object will be where? It's going to be on this back face. So if I hit erase, undo, regen. Okay. Now we arrayed sideways, and we arrayed across the top. If I type subtract, select the object you want to subtract from. That's the outer object. Enter. Select the object to subtract. We choose all 6. Select enter, and then type hide to verify it occurred. And as we can see now, we can delete these diagonals and we have the object. Now some of you like to use orbit. If we orbit around this object and type hide again, this object here is still filled. That's because we have a duplicate object there, And if I type hide, now it's gone. So I'm going to go back to viewpoint, predict my view as top right front. Okay. And now I'm going to set up for drawing my letter. I want to set my UCS on this back face only because I want to draw there. Some of you may want to draw from the outside face. That's choice. Just make sure you extrude the right direction. To begin drawing, I'm going to draw a line upward. I'm going to offset that line 1/4. I'm going to offset another line drawn on the bottom, another 1/4, and then I can offset 1 inch to create my boundaries. Now offset a couple more items, 1/4, 1/4, 1/4, 1/4, 1/4, and I type P line, and I can now trace those objects. We do not have to P-edit unless it's necessary. At the end, I type close, and now you can see the letter. I can delete these lines. And the F is still there. Extrude, I want to extrude outward, so make sure your letter is coming out 1/8, and the F is now sitting on the surface. Type hide, and you can now see the solid model. Regen, I want to drag the object down. You need to repeat this step for each letter on each face. Now I want to type regen so I can see all lines. I want to zoom extents. I want to type fillet. Fillet allows you to select an object to trim three-dimensionally. When it sees that it's an edge, it prompts you for a radius. We want to use 1/16. And now we go around and chain what objects need to be solved together. Notice I cannot select this front face. Why? Because I did not delete that shape that was drawn in the beginning. So I deleted it, and let's go from here again. Fillet, choose object, radius 1/16, and we go around the object. Make sure you take your time and select every line. We then press enter, hide, and you now see rounded edges on all sides. If I type orbit, I can rotate around. Now that I know where the front is, I know what I'm looking at without worrying about being in the wrong place. Okay, so orbit again, back to seeing the front view. And there's a new command I'll teach you, which is render. And we can render this little cube. We have lighting, so we don't have any contrast. But otherwise, some idea of the solid model of this form. This is the end of tutorial for the ABC block.